Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of System Saturday. I'm Linus, and today we want to talk about large language models, ChatGPT, custom GPTs, and how they can help you to finally get good responses from AI and use it in either your business directly or in your personal life to become way more efficient and make more money. So, if that is something that interests you, welcome to the System Saturday episode. You're gonna learn not only about this stuff, but we're going to build our own custom fine-tuned ChatGPT model in today's video live so you can follow along all the steps. I'm not a programmer genius, so you will see everything step by step to follow along super easy. Now, before we start this, I know you're probably maybe a little bit skeptical about AI because everybody knows that situation when you run into some heated discussions with ChatGPT. I had them a lot where I start going down the track and I ask it, hey, can you please give me, I don't know, give me a video idea. And then it comes up with something that sounds a little bit rubbish. And then you give it feedback and you're thinking, now it's going to improve it. And it returns even worse rubbish. And then after 3 or 4 times going back and forth, you get kind of aggressive and it just keep hammering all caps in your keyboard. Like, I told you two messages ago, why did you already forget it? So in today's video, I want to cover with you not only what large language models are, but why we run into these limitations, why they sometimes return wrong information, and what your options are in making them sound more like you and in making them smarter, right? Giving them the right information. So before we start this, I'm going to use the word large language model. The most known right now is probably ChatGPT. There's Grok, Claude, there is Olama, there is like an unlimited amount of large language models. But before we now jump into how we can create one ourselves, I want to talk to you a little bit about how they are actually created. Because to create a large language model, companies like OpenAI give it a huge amount of data. This is basically how they learn, how these language models are trained. Now, here's the important part. They give it a huge amount of data. It goes ahead and vectorizes it, so tokenizes it, breaks down the text files that it gets from the internet into more manageable words, basically. And then it does not remember all this information because that's way too much. Let's say, for example, we're talking articles about cardiovascular disease, right? If you're looking at the amount of papers that is out there, it's incredible. So what ChatGPT does in its creation, it's not memorizing all the information from all these articles, but rather it's going through a million of these articles and then learning the information inside. And that's where you might find it frustrating if you want to get the actual source, the actual information, and you need to go to other AI tools, like, for example, Perplexity. Now, ChatGPT is getting access to the internet, so that works as well sometimes. But you will still run into situations where the AI kind of hallucinates stuff. That's how they actually call it, right? It's hallucinating information that is not there, but rather comes from its general understanding of how a topic or of a general understanding of a topic. Now, if you work in a very specific field like me, I work in software consulting for Oracle Cloud. They release a new update every quarter, etc. This will always give you shit results. Another example is if you, for example, are a content creator and you try to use ChatGPT to create your content. I know that everybody out there is telling you you can use ChatGPT to create your content, and still, it does not work that way. It kind of sucks. It just doesn't sound like you, right? It sounds like this very polished, yes, you are helpful AI assistant and it's an awesome opportunity. And, it sounds like a LinkedIn post or something. So Today, I want to give you two different options that we can enhance an AI, because obviously using just the newest ChatGPT model is not the answer, right? And I just want to give you this little bit of background information to understand, hey, large language models do not have access and read through everything in the internet to create the responses, but rather have like intuition to give you a response depending on their understanding of a certain subject. Obviously, there are some exceptions, like, for example, Perplexity, that gives you or reads through studies, but will still sometimes hallucinate. I can definitely tell this from my experience, because it's still going to come up with, hey, there's this process you got to run. And I'm like, hey, in this software, there's no process called this way. Oh, yeah, seems like you're right. So why do I even have AI, right? But today, we're going to talk about how we can actually improve this. Now, let me quickly share my screen here with you, because there are two ways, and you might even have heard about it depending on how much you are in the AI space or technical. Again, I try to keep these videos here open for everyone so everyone can follow along. Now, this here is basically the two options you have as a normal user to improve the outcomes you get from AI. There's something called RAG. This here. Oopsie. Oh, yeah. You have RAG, what stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, and we have fine-tuning. Fine-tuning is what we're gonna focus on today. But before, hang on. Fine-tuning is what we're gonna focus on today. But before we get into that, I want to quickly explain to you the difference and why we today want to focus on fine-tuning. Now, RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, stands for what I just told you before. You need very specific information. That could be, for example, let's say the recent sport outcomes, right? So who won the Champions League game yesterday night? I don't know. I don't watch sports, so I don't know. But this is where you need something that helps you get access to right information. So this augmented generation basically has a retrieval mechanism. When I ask my AI a question, it gets access to a database, for example, with information. That could be, for example, my client database. All right, that could be an internal website. For example, let's say we are working in a lawyer's firm and they want the AI to have access to all the historical information to be able to skim through the whole process, and I make sure that we are on the right track there, right? Again, this would be an option where we would use that. Or we could say, like I said before, sports news, right? So very interesting for you if you, for example, want to run a news generated content platform. So, or not platform, but a content format. That's actually, for example, something we could figure out in another video, because I'm personally doing this. So I'm running some searches through the internet. I'm also running searches through the new documents and documentation that is released by Oracle Cloud, what I'm consulting for with big companies. So I am giving it the actual information that I needed to know. For example, Oracle released a new update, or this is what is in a new update. I give it the right information. I give it the access to this information to then read it and transform it into a content piece. Could be a scripted thing. Could be a just a quick news flash, right? Oracle just surpassed SAP in sales since last year. So this is basically what RAG is, Retrieval Augmented Generation. This is not what we're going to focus on today, because what this helps you with is getting you the correct information. Now, what you will still not get around is that ChatGPT just sounds like it has a stick up its, It just doesn't sound like you. Now, when you want to create content, and this is why we're going to focus on this today. When you want to create content, you want the content that it generates for you to sound like you, because you want it to keep your identity when it's scripting something. You can't, because otherwise it doesn't sound like you. When you read from a random script, it just sounds strange. So this is where you need fine-tuning. Fine-tuning basically gives a custom set of training data to ChatGPT. So it will be like, this would be your prompt, right? We're going to give ChatGPT a prompt, and then we're going to tell it what we would expect as a response. Now, you want to do this multiple times in a big document with around 50 to 100 examples to give it enough training data to actually understand the way you talk. Again, there's more ways to improve on this here, but this is basically the main concept. So for example, what we're going to do today is I hate LinkedIn. Everybody that knows me could figure that. I absolutely hate LinkedIn. I think it's a really strange platform, but I want to post some content. I honestly don't want to put in any work. It's not like this here where really my heart flows into creating the content. It's just, I just want to push out some content for Oracle Cloud. But I don't want to write any of it. I want a fully automated process, and I need this ChatGPT to write like I do, because I just disdain all this corporate bullshit. Let's circle back, pick the low-hanging fruit, all this kind of stuff. It's really not for me. So I want, in this session now, to create a fine-tuned model that sounds like I do. All right? So, understanding this is important, but I think we talked about it enough. It's again, it's a little technical, but you will see it later in the video as well. At the end, if you stay till the end, I'm going to show you a quick glimpse on how you can actually use this fine-tuned model and this retrieval augmented generation in your own AI agent to get the best possible outcomes. But first, let's now go ahead and start with training a custom model. All right. Let me go ahead here, share something else. Now, before we start this, the next step is going to be, we need training material. We need some money in an OpenAI account, because it's cost you, I don't know, going to cost you $1 or $2 to fine tune a model, maybe a little bit more. We also probably want it to, I'm going to show you how to put it in the right data format, because there's a lot that can go wrong there and it's really annoying. This is the only part that looks a little bit techy. And then we're going to run the training. Probably we're not going to see how the training finishes, but I'm going to show you the exact file that I use to train, because it's going to take 30, 40 minutes. It's not the same like just attaching a document to ChatGPT and saying, hey, this is how I usually write content. Please write something that sounds like this. It's not going to give you the same outcome. This here is the only way you should do it if you actually want customized outcomes that sound like you. Let me share my screen here. And I want to go for this here. Now, to fine-tune your own model, first you will need an OpenAI account. If you want to use OpenAI, I suggest it's the best interface. And they make it super easy. You will need an OpenAI account. No, this is not the same like going to ChatGPT. It is going to go to platform.openai.com/fine-tune. This is where you're going to find the fine-tuning part. Now, again, before we now start fine-tuning, I told you before, you're going to need some cash in your account. If you're not familiar with the technical side, there's a lot of things that AI charges you for. For example, if you call these models using an API, etc. So it's always good. It's not too much, but it's always good to have some cash in here. If you just upload $5 or $10, this will last you a good amount of time, and you can even train multiple or fine tune multiple GPT models on here for just a few bucks. So that's definitely worth it. Just upload a little bit here. I think that's platform.openai.com again. Yeah, and then or billing. They don't make it too hard to get to that page because they like you going there and uploading some money. All right. Now, as soon as you have this in here, you could theoretically go to the fine tuning page, click on create, and start fine tuning your model. Now, we're missing every step before that, so let's cancel here. They do have a pretty extensive documentation. If you click on learn more here, yeah, there is a lot going on, right? As you would expect from a technical, from a technical documentation page. You can ignore pretty much everything. The only thing that I would suggest you look at is this first example where they give you the actual format you need to deliver the training material in. All right. I'm going to show you in a second how this looks like. Because first, we need some actual training material. Now, if you're already, for example, creating content for your business, whatever, and you have 50 posts around that, then that's great. Then you just got to go ahead, transcribe these posts. There's a bunch of tools on the internet for that. If you have videos, right? Or if you have text files, even better. Just put them all in a Word file for now, or Google Docs, or whatever you have. You can, right, just push everything in here so you have one place where you have everything. Now, what's important is that you reverse engineer a prompt. You don't want to go completely nuts with these prompts, right? If you explain every single detail, I find that it gives you worse outputs in terms of training. So I would keep it relatively short, just create a prompt. If you don't want to do this step of the work, you can actually go ahead, take your post, post it, put it into ChatGPT and say, hey, please reverse engineer a prompt for me here. You could do that, right? And it's going to give you the prompt. We basically need this couple here. We need a prompt and we need a post. And we need 50 of them or 100. The more the better, but I think 50 is what they suggest as best practices. The one that I'm going to show you today, I actually trained on 15 examples. I think this is only 12 pages. And it's actually giving pretty good outcomes as well. It's sounding a lot like me, but again, more is better. So if you have, let me go for something small. I think I have some, for example, this is a quicker post. All right, my prompt was very simple. Post about demand planning if you have no demand plan. Like this is a very, very basic prompt. You probably could put a little bit more into that. But then here is the post, like my writing style, some caps. Then I have a winky smiley here, a pro tip. It doesn't sound like a super LinkedIn-y post. It's just the way that I usually text. So again, you need one prompt and you need a post and you need a lot of them. So this is your first assignment. You need to grab all this stuff and put it into one file. Now, here's a very obvious warning, but there's a lot of videos on the internet that tell you to do something that makes absolutely zero sense, to be honest. We want to create a fine-tuned ChatGPT model because the normal ChatGPT sucks. There's a lot of people on the internet telling you that if you don't have 50 examples yet, just go to ChatGPT and have it generate the examples for you. This is obviously very retarded because it doesn't give us the examples that we need, because we need to give it the actual examples that we wrote ourselves. Right? This is the whole reason why we do this here. So yes, if you don't have any posts and you want it to, or you only have, let's say, 5 posts on your Facebook or something, then you will need to create some posts yourself. It just doesn't make any sense to say, ChatGPT, please give me some posts so I can train you on sounding like me, right? Because it's going to sound like the normal ChatGPT. So please don't do this. I know it's annoying. This here probably took me some hours to write everything down, but it's worth it, right? Otherwise, don't do the fine tuning at all. Like this is then retarded. Doesn't make any sense. All right. Now, As soon as you have 50 examples of this here, I'm gonna go with 30 is probably good as well. But again, more is better. If you have 50, 30, 50 examples, you can start moving to step number 2. Step number 2 is to get all of this stuff here into the right format. And this is obviously why a lot of people struggle with this, because it's very technical and nobody really likes this kind of stuff. Am I still sharing? I'm not sure. No, I think I stopped. All right. So the next part is going to be look a little bit techy. There are some things, I'm going to give you a prompt actually that you can use to have ChatGPT help you. It can actually help you with this step here because it can't help you with the previous step, but with this here, it should be able to help you if you have the full version. If not, then you will probably struggle depending on how much text you want to put in there. So the way that this here gets processed, maybe you, by the way, maybe you have to feed it to ChatGPT in bytes of 10, right? So give it just 10 examples, it'll give you the right format, and then get back into the creating. Because the way that ChatGPT or OpenAI requires you to set this here is this specific format that we saw before, and it's called JSON-L. Now, JSON stands for, oh God, I don't even know, JavaScript object notifier or something, notation, I think. And L stands for line. So we need to have everything on one line. You don't want line breaks, and you want exactly this format. Messages, role, you can only replace the green things. System is going to be, if you want to, you can put a prompt in there, like you're, I don't know, senior Oracle Cloud developer in my case, or you're a content creator for Linux Ally. You could put this in there. Otherwise, if you use it like I'm doing it in an AI agent, it will actually not matter at all. But you can put all the same stuff in here for every single example that you have, right? Just give it the same role all the time. Now for the content, you want to give it your hang on. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. So not replace. Sorry. Yeah. Don't replace the system. Replace the content for the system. Yeah. Sorry, forgot that. So this here is where you would say put in Oracle Cloud Consultant or Content Creator Admin or whatever, right? So this is where you put in your standard prompt, right? The context basically for your custom GPT. What's really important now is this part here. Obviously, again, same thing. Don't replace user, replace this part here, where it's giving you an example of a prompt, right? What's the capital of France? Who wrote Romeo and Juliet? These here are the prompts that in our training example is this here. That's why you need everything mapped out before you start working on this. So this here would be the prompt. I would put that here, right? What's the capital of France? And then for the role, the assistant, this is basically your custom GPT. Here is where you're going to put in the response that you would like. For example, this example that they give here is that Marv, right? Marv, I think it's called. Marv is a factual chatbot that is also sarcastic. So it's going to respond to your prompt, but it's going to respond in a slightly sarcastic way, right? Paris, as if everybody doesn't know that already. And you know, this is something that you would normally not get from ChatGPT. It's never snarky to you. It's not sarcastic. It has its way of responding. It will always respond in this polished, polite way. And you may not want this. I actually have a very rude chatbot as well that I like to interact with sometimes because it's just funny. Now, this here is obviously normally going to be much more. In our example, as we're creating content, it's going to be a lot more. So it's basically going to be this whole text. So these here are luckily the short posts. Here's a prompt. Sorry, my formatting on these is ridiculous. But yeah, so this here is going to be the prompt. And this here is going to be the response. Now, obviously, this here is not one line, right? So if you don't want to fiddle with JSON L, then you can just go over to ChatGPT. And I do think that I somewhere actually have a prompt for you guys. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I use this myself. Honestly, I ended up doing some corrections on the actual code, but I just typed out a prompt for ChatGPT where I said, hey, please give me all the scripts in the following syntax that is used for ChatGPT customization. And I provided it with a complete thing. Right. So I basically would suggest you to do the same. If you're here on the fine-tuning page, click on learn more, scroll down to this here, copy the whole thing, right? Put it into your prompt that I just opened here, put it into your prompt, explain exactly to ChatGPT what you need, right? And then what I need you to return, do it the same as I said, right? Role is system, content is seasoned Oracle Cloud functional consultant, blah, blah, blah. And then here is the prompt, a news post about Oracle Cloud's 25A update. And here is the response. Blah, 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 blah. Obviously, this here has to be, one thing though, we cannot have any line breaks. So please use the, the /n thing to include the line breaks. Right? A /n is the line break for JSON-L. So it is all in one line, but it's going to include in the later output, you will have the /n, and then you can go ahead and format it correctly for your post for LinkedIn or whatever you have, right? So again, please, you always want to end your ChatGPT prompts with the most important thing. The best thing is to begin them with the most important thing and end them with the most important thing again. Just put all the main context in the middle, and then the most important thing is that I need one line for every prompt plus result, right? And then give it to me as provided, described above. You can write a prompt like this, upload your whole Word document here to ChatGPT, right? And then let it give it back to you. Again, it's gonna need it to give it to you in a context box probably. You can also ask it to give you back the file, but you can run into some problems, right? Because ChatGPT, sometimes it doesn't do what we want it to do. So the one way that you can work around it is say, hey, please give me a file. And then you can open it in something like this here. This is Visual Studio Code. It's a free app. You can download it everywhere. It looks very techy. So please don't be icked out. I know it doesn't look like something you want to do, but it's actually not that hard. As soon as you got your prompts and everything into one line, because you can just go into here, copy that example, go into your code editor. Again, it's called Visual Studio Code. And you can just go ahead here. And I obviously don't have a file. Here, that's an empty file. So you can just copy it in here. And it's going to do everything correctly, right? And then you have this in a nice format where it actually helps you to make sure everything is perfectly aligned, where it makes sure that there's no extra lines. For example, if you have something like this here, and you save this file and you upload it, it will not work because it has an extra line and it's empty. And it's like, oh, what is this? An extra line? I can't work with this, right? So I think this is a useful editor to just get it a little bit more structured. Put your context description here, right? Put your prompt here, and then put your response that you would desire here. All right. This could look something like this here, and you see the lines just get super, super long. And I just used ChatGPT for that, to be honest, right? To give me all these things here. and then walk through the whole thing. And I think I needed 2 or 3 tries. And then with the prompt that I gave you guys before, with this prompt, I can probably link that somewhere down below. But if it doesn't work, then just try again, right? You can just try again. And if you want to check if everything looks correct, then just download this Visual Codes. I never can remember how is it. Visual Studio Code. Just download the thing, copy the whole thing in here, or open the file that you get back from ChatGPT in here and validate it for yourself. All right. This is annoying. I get it, but there's no way around it. ChatGPT should be able to help you out pretty good here. Like I built the whole thing with that. And yeah, may need 1 or 2 tries, but then you should end up with this type of a file game. And then you can just go ahead, save that file. I have it as Oracle Training Post.jsonl. Obviously, this is the ending you also need. All right. You cannot have it end with JSON. It needs to be JSONL. And then I can just go ahead and say version 2 of Oracle Training Post.jsonl. Save. And this is the file that we're going to use to fine-tune our ChatGPT. All right. So let me quickly recap what we did. First, we are on the way to fine-tune our own model, and we want it to sound like us. We don't want to give it, like the newest information about the news or sports or whatever. We just want something that sounds like us. That's why we're going to fine-tune a model. To fine-tune a model, we need a relevant amount of training data. This is usually considered 50 to 100 pairs of prompt plus desired response. This way, our fine-tuned model is going to practice using all the data that we provided. This is a way deeper process than if we just went ahead and attached a document to, or gave it ChatGPT some examples, because it will still use its own style while responding. If we fine-tune a model, it's going to try to adapt our style and find patterns in how we talk, right? What wordings we use, what wordings we never use, for example, like, picking low-hanging fruits or something. And yeah, this is basically where we are now. You will need to have these pairs in a JSON-L format. There is an app called Visual Studio Code that you can use to map it out yourself. If you don't want to do this, then just give it to ChatGPT and make sure that it gives you back one line in a JSON-L format, or one line per post plus result pair. Right? Per training pair, we need one line returned. We can't have empty lines, and we cannot have line breaks. If you want to include line breaks, I think \n is the right thing to put in there. And yeah, this will give you a line break in the training material for it to understand without breaking the format. And you should still be able to upload it to fine tune your model. Now, that's it for the recap. Let's now go ahead, have a quick sip, and then we're going to fine tune the model. Yep. Oh God, you all don't want to see this anymore again. Let's close this Cody view. And again, right, please don't use ChatGPT to write your examples. This just doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. You can use it to transform your data. Don't use it to help you write out your training files. That's just not how it's going to work. All right. It is the same training file, but I want to spend some money on you guys, so I'm gonna create one new model and spend $1 or something on this video here. All right, so the training method. All right, we can set this way. Now, what's important when you fine tune a model is it's gonna need you to select a base model. Not all OpenAI models are available for fine tuning. I think the best model right now to write creative content is probably 4.5, but it's not available. So probably a next best, and the most uh, budget friendly is 4.0. You could 4.0 mini. You could go back and forth and just check what gives you the best examples. I have one on 4.1. I think that was just a waste of money, honestly, because I think 4.0 gives me, or 4.0 gives me better outcomes. So I'm just gonna go ahead with the 4.0. And now it's gonna require you to upload a JSON file. So let's see if I can actually find this. I've no clue where I put it, I'm honest. So let's see. Version 2. Oh god, I hope by clicking around there all the time I didn't introduce any errors, but let's try. That's good for showing you guys. If we find an error, then we can go ahead and solve it. Now, this year is already a challenge for most people to get this right, and it's what's going to give you most of the value. You don't need to fiddle with anything else here. That's my opinion. You don't need to fiddle with validation data. Don't care about this, right? We probably want to give it a name. Right, Oracle Jarvis V1, Oracle Jarvis 4.0 mini, 04 mini. Let me say, oh, we could maybe go for the mini. Why not? Let's say test for system. Oh god, I wanted to write SS, but that's not good as. But while being a German, I shouldn't write that. So systems Saturday. All right, that's better. Okay. Oh. Dashes. Yeah, I thought it was the underscores. Good. Good. That should work. All right. So this is what's going to show you instead of 4 mini, it's going to show you test for System Saturday. All right. Now, the rest you really don't want to touch. Again, my opinion, just leave it as it is and then click on create. Let's see if it actually can validate the file. And it's going to submit a new process. And this is going to take way longer than I'm comfortable with sitting here for waiting for this. So this is probably going to take 30 minutes, 35 minutes. So totally normal. Just leave it running. It's going to tell you at some point if it's erroring out. It's still right now validating the files. I'm going to show you in a second how you can check it when it is done. Let's check if something breaks while it's validating the files. Okay, I'm way too impatient for that. So let's go ahead and show you how it's going to look when it's succeeded. It's going to run on the side, so maybe we can see at least the next step. When it's succeeded, it's going to give you multiple checkpoints through the training process. But I think the final version that you get as an output, just click on that when it's done, right? Or this would be here, the test for System Saturday. And now I'm going to take one of the older ones I already created. You can use OpenAI's Playground. I am not a huge fan of that, but it's okay. So it's down here in the right corner, and you can click on that. And it's going to open your personal Jarvis on the right side, and it's going to open the normal model on the left side. And now you can check different responses. So let's say I need let's say a post about Oracle Cloud's min-max inventory planning and its significance in healthcare. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, that's totally fine. A lot of my clients struggle to understand these concepts, but yeah, this is basically what I do for a living. So I work with big companies to help them optimize the supply chain. Also work with smaller companies to do exactly what you're seeing right here. So if you guys think, hey, I have a business, but getting all this information, all these transcriptions, getting the JSON-L, and then moving this here further through process to automate the content creation. This is stuff I actually do with my smaller company clients. This is usually for the largest companies in the world because Oracle Cloud is pretty expensive. But okay, let's say this is the article that it's created. I'm honestly not sure how good it is. Yeah. All right. This is actually pretty good as an example already. This is a fairly long post, honestly. Sometimes give you back a long post, sometimes not. What I really like, for example, and this is what it's learning from my training data, it is not just listing stupid features that nobody cares about. It's actually gonna give you, hey, how is this shit created? What is the real life implication of Oracle Cloud's min-max planning and inventory management in healthcare? And this is where I just hate normal ChatGPT because it's just gonna give you this approach. You know, what is it here? Innovative approach to streamline the this completely freaks me out. I'm gonna be honest with you. It sounds like they are just reading their stupid marketing letters and just reading it to me. I don't need that. I need to understand the real life applications or implications of these applications, right? So I would rather, if you talk to me, I would say something like this method is fairly straightforward, actually, right? Of course, we do have a lot of jargon because it's supply chain, it's complicated. But this here just talks way more than me. And keep in mind, this was just 16 examples that I just uploaded. Right? This was the same training file, actually. So this here is just 16 examples, and it's already sounding way more me than the normal ChatGPT. It gives me real examples. And you could say, hey, I could have done this with a prompt. And you would be wrong. I'm gonna be honest. You could say in the prompt, and please provide me an example. And it's gonna come with an example, but it's still gonna say, oh, crazy approach, streamline shit. It's wonderful, right? I don't know. It's gonna come up with this stick up the ass language, and I don't like that. So this is where this sounds completely different. Let's try something else with a way more simpler post. That's going to be interesting as well. So let's say a post. Yes, this is not a lesson in prompt engineering, as you see, right? I'm going to just go with the most simple prompt here. A post about what is something good. The role of, or this is probably good. A post about common issues on Oracle Cloud implementations. And very unspecific prompt. Yeah, this is what I absolutely hate. Implementing Oracle Cloud solutions can bring significant benefits. Shut up. All right, what do we have here? This is the way that I write. Oracle Cloud's pretty robust suite of applications that can fundamentally improve operations across your entire organization. But like anything else, it is only as good as what you put into it. Preparation and training are not optional. If you don't have the right foundation in place, you run the risk of making a bad investment. This is good that I found this example because the first one was a little bit, okay. Probably because I gave a pretty specific prompt. This here is the shit. This is actually already expressing my opinions. I actually learned a little bit about the content as well that I usually create and what I stand for and what I stand against. right? This is $1 million software where companies pay not just 1 million, right? They pay multiple millions to implement that system, and they get shit outcomes a lot of the time because they don't think about training, they don't think about preparation, they think they need to just install the software and it's going to change their business. It's not. It's going to create a lot of problems, cost you millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're going to be very sad afterwards that you made this stupid investment. So this year is the way that I work. Well, this year didn't really work, right, with the line break, but there is a solution for that as well, so don't worry. But this year is the way that I write. This year is the way that ChatGPT writes. Nah, nah. It's just not cool. So this is just to show you guys, you can see the differences that your training created because this is the same model, right? You can see the difference here and it is tangible immediately, even though it didn't give it enough training data. And even though I didn't give it a specific prompt or a great idea or something, I just give it a random idea. Common issues with Oracle Cloud implementations. Right? This is super basic. So it doesn't have like more information. It just understands the topic differently from my perspective, and it writes like I would normally do. This is like wonderful, because the thing is, you probably saw it before. A lot of, I mean, as you can see, this video is unscripted. My videos are usually not like crazy scripted. I do some scripts on my iPad here, where I have some rough ideas for my short videos. But this here is obviously completely unscripted. Right? So I just go ahead and talk to the camera a lot of the times. But for text posts, or for YouTube videos, or for if you script a lot of your videos, or whatever you do, everything that is text, and that may be a video as well, this here is just pure gold. It's just pure gold, because you won't be able, without feeling like a clown, to read the first response that you got from ChatGPT, right? Because it sounds very, it doesn't sound great. The other option on the other side is like when I just started reading it to you, it's super natural to me. Right? Improve operations across your entire organization. But like everything else, it is only as good as what you put into it. Short sentences, clear opinions, right? Nothing super polished, nothing too friendly. I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid to be friendly. I'm getting paid to solve your problems, right? So I need a clear language. That's at least my understanding. I'm kind of anti-corporate, as you can see, and that's the reason as well why I work with smaller companies as well, because corporate sometimes really struggles to actually want to change something. A lot of my clients, when it comes to something like this here, it's like you really see the value in what this here creates to you. It's just hours and hours and hours that this here will take out of your day. If you don't have it, it's going to take out of your day to script videos, or you even have a team of people, then, right? You don't need this anymore. AI is really good. And I do understand that a lot of people don't know that because they're frustrated because they've just been told to create a cool prompt, or, like common prompt, and I sent you the top 100 prompts for free or something. Or, this shit doesn't work, unfortunately. Unfortunately, a good prompt is better than a bad prompt. But there is limitations to where you can get with a prompt. There's also limitations, obviously, where you can get to with a fine-tuned model like this here, but they are way further down the process. Now, you will remember that I did in the beginning already told you about the the different types of limitations and what you need for that. So we basically did the whole process. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Or maybe I take the lighter green. We did this here. Right? We fine-tuned the model. Oh, by the way, we got to check in a second if our model actually is in the training process or our file broke. But we fine-tuned a model, and it's gonna sound like we do, but but it does not have like extra access, right? It does not have real-time internet access that succeeds what ChatGPT has. For example, I could also provide it with a knowledge base about Oracle Cloud. That's for example something I do, where you have even either vectorized information, or in my case it's like text files that it can go to a Notion page, for example, or an Airtable database to download information and then use it to validate the content against, in terms of, is this technically correct, right? If I want this thing to write something that's not just sounding like me and giving my opinions or general, but I wanted to solve a very specific problem inside the software, like there's a lot to know. Where to go, which checkbox to click, all this stuff it can learn if I give it even more information, right? And I just wanted to share it with you. There is a lot more, obviously, that you can do always, but this fine-tuned model you can now basically go ahead and interact with from the playground that we just saw. Oh, by the way, this went through pretty quickly. Our fine-tuned model is done. That's pretty awesome. This here was it. System Saturday. Succeeded. All right. I mean, we can quickly check it, right? Let's say. Let's see what it has for us. What do we want? Difference, a post about the difference between a cloud and an on-prem solution. You're probably like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But I trained it on my Oracle Cloud data, right? So I'm gonna use this. Nah, this was probably too. This didn't work. Okay, let's try something else. A post about Oracle Clouds. Yeah, I should probably also not have shortcutted using on-prem instead of on-premise, etc. But hey, okay. All right. So this now is giving us very short answers here. Okay, it includes a lot of different modules most people don't realize. I don't fully independent work when okay. So this is taking more of the short approach, what's also good, because a lot of the training data I think that are added later is just these short posts here. That's what it's probably now learning from, right? Because it's not exactly the same set of data. So it's looking at these very short things here. For example, a news post about Oracle Cloud's 25A update is, you can now manage flow schedules for manufacturing execution on the production line. Pretty neat. Whatever. But it's taking this here and it's using this short format. That's why it's obviously important to give it a little bit more information, because you can see I trained the same model 2 times and it does give me different style of responses. I'm honestly not sure if I'd used exactly the same training file, but it's just 16, 17 examples. It is not really enough to give me consistent feedback. That's why you should use a little more, or you do what I did and you just run the same file 3 times and you say, oh, this year is the best one I created. This is a little better actually than this year. Now, this is the different options that you can do. Interesting also that we saw that it's now giving me a different response, because it's really showing you what I said before. They say you need 50 to 100 examples. It would be better. And I'm really amazed that this went through so quickly. So I'm really questioning if I didn't upload a smaller training file, what might have happened. Sorry for that. I'm not sure about this file. Well, anyways, I can download it here and take a look. But I'm not sure if that is. No, okay. Let's see if I can find it really quick. I can never find this stupid application. Mail. No, it's not even in the list. Yeah, that's annoying. All right, let's not look at it right now. But again, it did work, right? It does change the outputs here, and it's gonna give you a different feedback. You would need some more training detail, and then you get, or if it doesn't work, just run it twice like I did, and it's gonna give you different feedback. Now, the one thing I still wanted to show you guys is this does not have to be the end station. I really hate the playground, not a big fan of that. And if you're familiar with automations, etc., like N8N, you could put this chat model in your N8N flow. That's what I did here, for example. So this is basically a flow that I use to generate some of the content ideas for LinkedIn. And we cannot go into AI agents right now. It's going to be a whole different topic. If you want a video about that, let's drop a comment down below. AI agents basically have a chat model that they use to chat with you. They also have memory, where you can have simple memory, or you could have, like different memory tools. And they also have tools that they can use. So they can schedule appointments for you. They can use different workflows. This here, for example, is another workflow where it's downloading a brand brief for Linus Ally, the Oracle Cloud creator. So it's gonna check all my content against my core beliefs, values, against my things that I would never say, what I stand for, what my company stands for, right? So it's gonna check this as well when writing content. It's like a crazy way to improve the outputs of your AI even further. And I even have one more thing that I'm working on. I'm not sure if it works. We can run it in a second. But this devil's advocate is basically giving feedback, and he's not liking whatever this here creates. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not, and it's going to give feedback, and it's going to provide a score between 1 and 10, or between 0 and 1. I think I changed it. And if it's below 0.8, then the AI agent has to redo this specific piece of content. So there is a lot more you can do with your AI, and you can embed it in something like this here. And I did it, for example, here. OpenAI chat model. And if you connect it with your OpenAI to your N8N automation tool, it will give you your fine-tuned models. So for example, we would have, I hope so. Maybe I would need to refresh the page. Oh no, here it is already. N8N is just awesome, man. All right, here is the model, or here are the different steps from this model, right? Here's the model that we just fine-tuned for System Saturday. So I could select one of these models and use it in my chat, right? I can just go ahead and say, hey, this is what we're gonna use now to generate the content that I have in this flow. Again, sorry. This year is, you don't have to understand everything. This year is only for the people that are a little bit more into the tech side. I built this here for a living with some of my clients, right? Because it's gonna basically automate everything, creating the content. I will actually want to check this really quick, but this is something I'm working on. So I'm not sure if Devil's Advocate is ready. Let's change this here for 1 second back to the 4.0 Jarvis. Oh, Mini. I think we used to before to chat with. Yep. And then let's go ahead and see if we can generate a piece of content completely automated. That would be cool if that worked now. And if it doesn't, then no worries either. Oh no, I can't click on. This is retarded. Test workflow. All right. So this execute workflow is to generate a content idea. Again, this is not the automation meeting, but you can see the AI agent is now talking with the chat AI model, it's getting the brand brief, and it's thinking about a content idea. And it should go ahead, hopefully, if that works, and ask or send it to Devil's Advocate and get feedback on the specific content idea. It's actually doing this right now, so it's kind of asking, hey, is this good enough? I'm not sure if it was good enough, so it's gonna think about that for a second or evaluate the response. And yeah, it should either go back and create an okay, apparently it was good enough. Let me quickly go in there. Please, for everyone that's not too technical, we're gonna be done in a second, so don't freak out about this. But for the technical folks, you guys are probably super interested in that. So yeah, so it got the brand brief, OpenAI chat model, create a post, all right. Let me see the Devil's Advocate feedback. Oh, it thought it was a pretty good post. So this here down here is the score set between 0 and 1. So please, right, use my brand brief and everything to double check this content. I actually got this idea from Simon, I don't know his this last name, Heusberg, on YouTube. He has a very good video on this whole thing that we did today as well. But it's a little bit more technical. So yeah, I thought I might create this more step-by-step and calm version here. But yeah, this is where I got his idea from. And yeah, this is basically saying, hey, this aligns with Linus' brand brief, showcasing clear understanding of Oracle Cloud implementation challenges, blah, 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 and showing that I'm an authority, and it gave it a score 1. Sometimes could give it a score 6, like if the chat comes up with something that I would normally not say, then it needs to rework that, and it gets some feedback from here. Like, this is pretty awesome. Again, if you're not technical, you may think that's pretty stupid, but yeah, that's what I do for a living. And it basically created it created a LinkedIn post by clicking a button, right? And this can actually then go out to Buffer, for example, my content scheduling tool for LinkedIn. So it's just going to automatically post this here. And instead of clicking the button that we just clicked before, it's running every day. Like, this here is a version that I'm currently fiddling around with. But I have another version that is running every single day in the morning. It's creating a content idea, it's writing the whole post, and it's also scheduling it and posting it to LinkedIn. And I never have to touch it. And it sounds like me, right? So this is pretty awesome. We can't read the whole thing now, and it's also pretty small. I'm not sure we can read this. Yeah, but this here sounds a lot like Linus, right? I'll be honest, most Oracle Cloud implementations suck. They're overly complex, frustrating, misaligned with the real world needs of the business. But it's not the software's fault. Oracle Cloud is an amazing tool if it's implemented right. Here's the truth. Implementation is not a matter of configuring the tech. It's about designing systems that fit your business. When you understand that, everything changes. You see, this is not only my style, it is also what I do for a living. I hate implementations or people selling SaaS products or you need go high level or whatever it is. I'm all about systems that are individual and support your specific business need. And this is exactly why we did what we did today. I really hope this was helpful. I really hope the technical part wasn't flicking you off too much. If it did, I could understand that, but just understand that this year is going to be one of the most important skills in the next couple of years, because understanding how to use AI will transform your business. Understanding how to use automations like you just saw it here will change your business. This was just one example. You can use this to respond to your phone calls. You can use it to schedule your meetings. You can use it to accept all the reservations from your customers for your restaurant. Like, this is very versatile in what you can do. Everything, not just content creation. You can do literally everything that is repeated in your business, either completely automated by AI, or you can have yourself in the loop, but you will still need to use AI. This is in all industries. This is even in medicine, for example. If you're using I don't even know what they're called, electronic microscope, these huge expensive things, it's gonna run an AI to tell you what it think it sees, and then you are still in the loop as a person. For a lot of the systems that we built here, you may not want to just go ahead and schedule everything automatically to LinkedIn because you don't want to ruin your career. That's also fine. Then we built an approval process to say, yes, this is good. But it's going to take away a lot of the work. And again, for a lot of creative work, for customer support, for example, right? Customer support's like super important. And you don't want it to sound robotic. You want it to sound like you. And this is exactly how I do it. You need a fine tuned model to sound like you, and then you need, or you can use some more tools like this here. For example, if you have customer support and you're selling inventory management robotic solutions. So automatic inventory management where you have small robots picking things and maybe packing it or bringing it to another station. Like, yeah, you will need a whole customer support team, or you need one AI agent to take all the calls, respond to all the chats, and retrieve all the information, right? Using a rack. That was the one thing that we didn't cover today. Retrieving all the information from the internal database and then responding in a way that you think is acceptable for your clients by sounding like you. So, really proud of you that you followed along the whole way. Obviously, this is already opening so many other topics. So I'm really happy that I'm making this podcast. I'm gonna see you in another video, probably to start getting more into the automations as well. Start building some flows, maybe going into the RAG as well. So yeah, let me just stop here for now, and please drop your comments, questions down below. If you want to see something else, please also tell me if you didn't understand something so I can help you, or if you run into some problems when you upload the file or something. Again, I can, if you comment, I can also send you the prompt, right, to put this into JSON-L. And I would say that's it for today, and then hope to see you back in another episode of System Saturday. System Saturday. That's it. Bye bye.